Human saved an alien girl. Days later, a tribe of women found him. The first thing John Marek learned about the planet Velora was that it did not forgive weakness. His shuttle had been forced down 3 weeks ago after a magnetic storm fried half the navigational grid. The wreck lay broken in a valley of violet grass, its comms array useless, its emergency beacon crippled. John had patched what he could, but the repairs would take months, maybe years, time he did not have if the environment decided to turn against him. By day, the skies shimmered with 2 suns, burning everything in white heat. By night, the world glowed with strange phosphorescent flora, and the predators came out to hunt. John quickly learned to sleep in shifts, weapon close, his every movement careful. Survival meant adaptation, and adaptation meant learning Velora's rhythms. It was on the 12th night that he heard the scream. Not a human scream, but one high-pitched, resonant, almost musical. It echoed across the ravine near his camp. Against every rational thought, John grabbed his shock rifle and ran toward the sound. At the base of the ravine, tangled in a net of thorned vines, lay a figure, small, slender, humanoid but not human. Her skin was pale lavender, her hair a cascade of silver strands that shimmered in the moonlight. She thrashed weakly against the constricting vines, her ankle already bleeding from deep cuts. John froze. First contact. An intelligent alien. Her wide, luminous eyes locked onto him, pleading, terrified, yet also oddly unafraid. The vines tightened around her chest. She let out another cry, weaker this time. "Damn it," John muttered. He slung the rifle over his back and drew his survival blade. The vines hissed like living things when he cut them, releasing a sticky sap that burned his fingers. He ignored it, slicing quickly, working until at last she fell free. She lay gasping, trembling, her delicate hands clutching the ground. John knelt beside her, unsure what to do. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said slowly, gesturing to himself, then pointing away, miming peace. Her gaze softened. She whispered something in her own language, musical syllables he couldn't decipher. But she didn't run. She let him lift her gently, her weight feather-light, and carry her back to camp. The alien girl. Over the next few days, John tended her injuries. He learned her name, or at least what it sounded like. Sarai. She spoke no Terran standard, but her gestures, her eyes, and her soft attempts to mimic his words built a fragile bridge between them. Sarai recovered quickly, her ankle healing with surprising speed. She was curious, always watching him repair equipment, studying how he built fires, how he hunted small lizards for food. She touched everything, tilting her head in fascination. One evening, she pointed at the stars and then at him, speaking softly. John guessed she was asking where he came from. He drew a crude diagram in the dirt, his shuttle, the broken pieces, Earth, Sun. She listened intently, then touched his chest with a single finger, her eyes full of something he couldn't name. Gratitude, perhaps. Or trust. He wondered what tribe or community she belonged to. Why had she been alone in the ravine? Was she lost, exiled, or simply exploring? She gave no answers, only silence and soft smiles. But Velora was unforgiving, and peace never lasted long. The attack. On the 18th night, predators came. Not the usual 4-legged stalkers John had seen before. These were larger, scaled beasts with horned heads and glowing amber eyes. They circled the camp, growling low. John grabbed his rifle. Sarai hid behind him, trembling, clutching his shirt. The first beast lunged, and John fired, the shock bolt slamming into its chest. It howled and fell, twitching. The others snarled and charged. It was chaos, claws slashing, John firing until the rifle's battery died, then swinging his blade in desperate arcs. One beast nearly pinned him before Sarai screamed. Not just a scream, something sharper, resonant. The beasts froze, their ears flicking back. Sarai screamed again, louder. The creatures whimpered, backing away, retreating into the night. John stared, panting, blood dripping from a cut on his arm. Sarai collapsed to her knees, exhausted. "What the hell was that?" he whispered. She only looked at him with sad, knowing eyes. The tribe of women. 2 days later, they found him. John had been scouting for edible roots when he heard the rhythmic sound of footsteps, many of them. From the forest emerged a group of women, all alien, all similar in appearance to Sarai. Their skin tones varied from pale lavender to deep indigo, their silver hair braided or adorned with bone charms. Each carried weapons, bows strung with crystal string, spears tipped with glowing metal. At their head was a tall woman with intricate markings across her face. She raised a hand, signaling the others to halt. Her gaze fell on John, then on Sarai, who rushed forward with a joyful cry. The reunion was immediate, Sarai clutching the tall woman's hands, speaking rapidly in their tongue. The women's eyes turned to John, suspicion sharp in their stares. John raised his hands slowly. Easy. I helped her. I'm not your enemy. The tall woman studied him, then spoke, a surprisingly clear word in Terran standard. Human. John blinked. You know of us? She didn't answer. Instead, she gestured sharply. Two warriors stepped forward, spears crossed before him. Sarai cried out, clutching the leader's arm, pleading. The leader listened, her expression unreadable. Finally, she gave a curt nod. The spears lowered. You will come, the leader said. Her voice was cold, commanding. You will answer. John had no choice. He followed. The village. The tribe settlement lay deep within the forest, structures woven from living trees, glowing vines wrapped around them like lanterns. The air was thick with incense, and everywhere women moved with silent purpose, armed and watchful. There were no men. Not one. John was led to the center of the village, where a circle of stone marked a council place. The leader sat upon a carved seat, Sarai beside her. Others gathered, eyes burning with curiosity and distrust. The leader introduced herself as Vealora, chieftain of the Krenai. Through broken standard and Sarai's translations, John pieced together the truth. Their people were a matriarchal tribe, fiercely protective of their lands. Men of their kind had long since vanished in ancient wars, leaving only women to rule and survive. Humans, they knew of, travelers who sometimes passed through Velora's skies. But never had one walked into their forest. Why are you here? Vealora demanded. John explained, the storm, the crash, the beacon he was trying to repair. He meant no harm, only survival until rescue came. The council murmured. Vealora's eyes narrowed. And Sarai? Why was she with you? She was trapped, John said firmly. I freed her. I saved her life. Sarai spoke then passionately, her hands clutching Vealora's. Whatever she said carried weight, for the murmurs softened. Vealora regarded John a long moment, then finally nodded. You will stay, she decreed. Until we decide. Days among the Krenai. Life in the village was both wonder and tension. John was watched constantly, yet allowed to walk freely under Sarai's guidance. He learned their ways, how they hunted with silent coordination, how they sang to the forest to calm its beasts, how they treated wounds with herbs that glowed faintly in the dark. Sarai stayed close, translating when she could, teaching him words of their language. Slowly, the distrust in some of the women's eyes faded, replaced by cautious respect. Yet John could feel the weight of Vealora's judgment. She was testing him, watching for weakness, for deceit. The test came sooner than he expected. The trial. One evening, horns sounded from the watch posts. A rival tribe was attacking, raiders armed with jagged blades, their faces painted in ash. The Krenai warriors rushed to meet them, Sarai among them despite Vealora's protests. John grabbed his repaired rifle, its battery partially restored, and ran after them. The battle was brutal. Alien war cries split the night, blades clashing, arrows streaking. John fired, dropping raiders with precise shots, covering the Krenai flank. At one point, a raider nearly struck Sarai down before John barreled into him, driving his blade through the attacker's chest. When the raiders finally fled, the Krenai stood bloodied but victorious. Sarai ran to John, tears streaking her lavender cheeks. She pressed her forehead to his, a gesture of deep gratitude. The tribe watched in silence. Vealora stepped forward, her expression unreadable. Then she raised her spear high. Human fights as Krenai, she declared. The warriors echoed her cry. The choice. Days passed, and John became more than a guest. He became part of the village. He hunted with them, trained with them, even sat at their fires. Sarai never left his side, her trust in him absolute. But the beacon still waited, silent in the wreck. Rescue was still possible, if he chose it. One night, Sarai brought him to the edge of the village. She pointed at the stars, then touched his chest, then hers. Her eyes glistened. John understood. She was asking if he would leave her. He looked at the stars, then at her, the girl he had saved, who had saved him in return. He thought of the tribe that had tested him, accepted him, given him purpose. Slowly, he shook his head. I'm staying. Sarai's smile was brighter than any twin sun. Ending. John Marek, stranded human, never repaired the beacon. Weeks turned to months, and months to years. But he no longer counted the days. He fought beside the Krenai, laughed with them, lived among them. And always, Sarai was at his side. He had come to Velora as a castaway. But he remained as family. For in saving one alien girl he had been found, not just by her, but by an entire tribe of women who made him one of their own.